Okay. Hello, hello, beautiful people. Today I am studying the Magician. The Magician is the second character in the major arcana. He comes right after the Fool. And the Magician is a very special character. The Magician wears a robe at their altar, in front of an altar rather. The Magician also has a wand, they have a pentacle, they have a cup, and they also have a sword. There we go. These are all the suits of the tarot. So the swords is air energy, also can be considered, actually no, so the swords is air energy, the cup is water energy, the pentacle is earth energy, and the wand is fire energy. So the magician holds all of these items at their altar because the all four elements, earth, air, water, and fire, are necessary for creation, right? And sustenance. So the magician wears this robe because they're also in front of a very important and sacred space. This is the magician from the Pulp Girls tarot deck. This is the magician from Tarot of the Orishas. And again, wearing a robe, specifically wearing white as well, because white is a color of purity, of cleanliness. And the magician knows that when they're approaching the highest creator, right? Could be God, could be nature if you believe in science, could be even your ancestors. When they're approaching this altar where they can communicate with the divine, they need to clean up, they need to present themselves well, because they're approaching not just to ask for things, but also for guidance, for comfort, for inspiration, for motivation, for strength. So they know that when they approach this altar and when they lay out all of their things, everything is in a very special and specific order. As you can see, he has his fire, his water, his air, and his earth in the cowrie shells. And all of these things are laid very particularly as symbols of respect for the divine, and they're all like offerings as well. So some of you may have altars in your home, and may be able to relate to the intentionality of setting an altar like the magician does. The magician in the Black Tarot is so beautiful to me. He is tatted up, he has long locks, he is standing on a rock which has water splashing behind it, which symbolizes movement, it symbolizes passion, like emotional fortitude. It also symbolizes like power, really deep emotional power, and the ability to kind of like, water is the only thing that can cut through stone. It takes a long time, and it does things gradually. But water, if you look at mountains have little ridges in them that go all the way from the very top down to the base, and that is caused by rainfall. Water is soft enough yet strong enough to cut through stone. So this movement here, this splash of water, I don't see this on any of the other cards in this tarot deck. So it really symbolizes that like deep emotional power and resilience also. The magician is here in white pants. Again, he is wearing white just like the other magicians, because he knows that when he approaches his ancestors, his creator, his prime source, whatever that may be for him, that he needs to present himself as purely as possible, because he's communicating with the divine. So I apologize if that was redundant, but it's just really standing out to me. And I love that I'm wearing white today as well. So he's also standing in front of this beautiful sunset, and the sun in the tarot represents prosperity, wealth, illumination. It represents like being your best self, like coming forth as your best self. That's kind of what I'm getting on this card. He's coming forth as the best, most pure, most disciplined, most honest, and most humble, and aware of his self-worth version of himself that he can possibly muster. As you can see, the full moon, which illuminates things, is right on his, I want to say that's his sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is where we feel our security, where we know our worth, we feel powerful in our presence. That's more of like the solar plexus. But the sacral, all of that power and confidence that our sacral gives us, that our solar plexus gives us, it comes from our sacral chakra, where we feel safe, where we feel worthy, where we feel supported, where we feel nourished, where we feel like we have everything we need. And so these colors, this orange for the sacral and this yellow for the solar plexus, are really representing that he's showing up as his best self, and he's well aware of the power that he holds, and the fact that he's protected, the fact that he's supported in everything that he wants to bring down from the heavens, or everything that he wants to realize or materialize in his power as the magician. That was like fully channeled. I was literally just talking, but I feel like it makes sense. Leave a comment if it does. All right, so the magician in the Ananda tarot, this magician is special. I love the Ananda tarot deck because it's more abstract than the other tarot decks that I have. So as you can see, all of these magicians are like embodied characters. They're all wearing white. It's kind of like literally the same image. The only other thing I'll say about these two magicians is that, as you can see, one arm is pointed up toward the sky and another is pointed down at the ground, or specifically at the table, or specifically at her garden, her plants. So the magician comes right after the Fool, because the magician has the experience of the Fool in the sense that they have the trust, they have the like risk-taking strength, skill, they have the courage, you know what I mean, of a fresh baby who's never been disappointed by anything. But now they also have the wisdom that they're trusting, right, as the Fool, but as the magician, they're knowing. The magician knows that all they need to do is reach up to the heavens and ask with a pure heart for what they need. Remember, white represents purity. Ask her what they need, ask her what they want, materialize it, and visualize that bitch. Excuse me. Visualize what they want on the platform that they're working on, right? And the platform that we work on, as people who may not have altars or may not divine, we have our minds. All we have to really do is visualize what we want. And the magician knows that they can ask for it with one hand, reach up, touch it in their mind, and bring it down through that other hand onto the ground or the surface below them. Okay, and the last magician that I have is this abstract magician. And I love this magician because so the magician obviously loses their angel wings from the Fool, right? If you remember in the Fool video, I talked about how in the Black Tarot, the Fool has angel's wings because of that like extra divineness of being like a newborn, or like being fresh on the scene, starting anew, right? You kind of have like a extra layer of protection or like purity because you're inexperienced as the Fool. But as the magician, he loses his wings because he no longer has that baby-like innocence. Now he has the knowledge of his power. Now he knows that when he takes risks, when he follows his heart, like the Fool would, he knows that he has like divine backing and support from his ancestors, from his spirit guides, from her, friends, her literal material support system, her environment. All the universe is conspiring in the magician's favor, and he knows it. The Fool has the same privilege, but the Fool doesn't know it. So I love that this third eye is illuminated here on this Fool, on this magician rather, because it's like the Fool didn't have the third eye, right? But the magician does. So that's the knowing, the knowledge, the like foresight, and the ability to visualize what you'd like to manifest in the material world, in the 3D, right? So I really love that this magician also has no body, because it's kind of like losing his wings, like in the Black Tarot. But now the magician is like not fully in their body when they're communicating with the divine. They're kind of like in their higher self, like body, if you will. It's almost like when you're in a meditative state, you leave your body momentarily because you're with your mind. You're stilling and calming your mind. So this magician knows that they can visualize what they want in their third eye and literally radiate it out because they have like everything that they want and everything that they need is in alignment. So when we ask for things and we don't get them, sometimes it's because that thing that we want is actually out of alignment with who we are, or who our heart wants to be. Maybe sometimes we ask for things because of pressures that we receive from, people and movies and other, insecurities, right? So sometimes we ask for things and we try to manifest and use this really powerful gift from the divine to bring things into our lives that do not really belong in reality, or are not serving our highest good or supporting us in becoming the best version of ourselves, right? Oops, I just dropped a card. So we ask for things that don't necessarily support the best version of us that we want to show up as. But when we remain grounded, and red represents the root chakra, which is about really like grounding down into reality, you can see his bare feet are on this stone, and it's kind of like he's so powerful, but he's still grounded. He still knows that there are limits, to what he can manipulate because he's on a path of growth. He's on a journey. The Fool becomes the Magician, and then there's another step, and I think there are 12 cards in the Major Arcana, I believe. But I'm still learning, and you guys are learning with me, so I appreciate you being here. And so that was about the Magician. The Magician is such a powerful and, deeply capable and knowledgeable and respectful character, and has direct link to the divine. So this is the second step in the journey of the Major Arcana, and I look forward to talking about the next one.